I'm curious about what his advisors were saying at the time as you look at this, as you reported out this book.
So the White House physician, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, was telling White House aides that President Biden's deterioration of his spine, the degeneration, was so significant that if he fell one more time, that he might have to be in a wheelchair and serve in a wheelchair for his second term. But everybody pushed off the notion that he use a wheelchair until after the election. This is all part of a larger whole where the Biden White House tried to hide the extent of his deterioration, both physical and cognitive, as much as possible. In fact, as we all know, we all saw, as his shuffling gait got worse and worse from 2003 to 2004, they started putting aides around him as he walked to Marine One, the helicopter that was to kind of hide from public view how bad his gait was, how bad his walking was, his shuffling, and also in case he stumbled again to make sure somebody was there. And this is just of a piece of an overall campaign to try to conceal from the American people the extent to which the president was really struggling to do his job.
It's very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable.
You have no. I can't. This is so amazing. It's so amazing to me that
try and figure out an answer.
A cognitive decline.
President Biden embraces his stutter, talking about it, while Trump mocks it, exaggerates it, belittles it. He's sharp physically. I mean, mentally.
Yeah.
I think the question is physically, right?
Right.
More so?
Right.
Right. And the guy who's his chief opponent is only 3 or 4 years younger than him.
Exactly.
I mean, you have questioned President Biden's age, mental fitness, ability to lead. Of those supporting Biden, you said, quote, "Shame on all of you pretending everything is okay. You're leading us and him into a disaster." Do you worry that you damaged him at all? I don't doubt that you got hugs and handshakes behind closed doors today, and maybe even publicly, some of them because they like you personally. But I've heard a lot of really nasty stuff about you from your Democratic colleagues. Sure. I mean, just like, what is he thinking? Exercise in narcissism. I mean, false claims to the Wall Street Journal about President Biden's mental fitness and acuity. He's 81, and his memory, it doesn't seem great. It's not horrible, but I don't understand the outrage. Quote, behind closed doors, Biden shows signs of slipping, unquote. The Wall Street Journal is owned by News Corp, which is run by the Murdochs. Beyond the headline, there is some critical nuance here. The article is mostly based on observations of Republicans, with former Speaker Kevin McCarthy the only one going on the record. They do note in the article that most of the criticism comes from Republicans. Have you heard any concerns from anyone who has met with President Biden about him seeming a little slower?
No.
The Russians are trying to make us and the public not trust our election integrity. Joe Biden has dementia, all this stuff. Welcome to The Lead. I'm Jake Tapper. We're going to start with our politics lead and the damning new details that we're releasing today about former President Joe Biden's physical and mental deterioration and how his family members and closest aides concealed it from the public. This is all revealed in 2 excerpts that we revealed today from my upcoming book with Axios. This is Alex Thompson. The book is called Original Sin. It's coming out, being published 1 week from today. The book is based on more than 200 interviews, mostly with Democratic insiders, almost all of which occurred after the 2024 election was over, when suddenly they were more willing to talk. The excerpt in The New Yorker today reveals for the very first time what exactly motivated actor and director George Clooney to write his momentous op-ed calling on Biden to drop out of the presidential race, despite personally knowing him for more than 2 decades and Clooney's international fame as a movie star. Biden did not appear to recognize Clooney at that June 2024 fundraiser that Clooney was headlining, even after a Biden aide told the president, quote, George Clooney. And it wasn't just Clooney who was alarmed, so was President Obama, so were other donors behind the scenes. Even Democratic Congresswoman Annie Kuster of New Hampshire, who saw the event on stage, which was not half as bad as what was going on backstage, came away thinking there was no way President Biden could serve another term. These brand new details coming just hours after more stunning revelations in an excerpt published by Axios that aides were privately discussing putting President Biden in a wheelchair for his second term because of his physical deterioration. Sources telling me and Alex Thompson that Biden's team thought it was, of course, politically untenable to have the president in a wheelchair during his reelection bid. They took steps to try to protect him, and the images of his halting gait
including finding shorter walking paths, adding handrails to steps, using a smaller staircase to board Air Force One. Aides would also accompany Biden across the White House lawn to Marine One or from Marine One, not only to disguise what was going on, but in case he fell. President Biden's doctor, White House physician Kevin O'Connor, warned behind the scenes that if Biden had one more serious fall, he might need to be in a wheelchair for his recovery. Dr. O'Connor had long worried about the toll the job had taken on Biden's health and joked behind the scenes that Biden staff members were trying to kill him while he was trying to keep him alive. In response to our latest reporting, a spokesperson for Biden told Axios, quote, medical exams made clear that Biden had a stiffened gait caused in part by wear and tear to the spine, but that no special treatment was necessary and that it had not worsened. He was transparent about this, and it was far from severe. Yes, there were physical changes as he got older, but evidence of aging is not evidence of mental incapacity. And so far, we are still waiting for anyone, to point out where Joe Biden had to make a presidential decision or make a presidential address where he was unable to do his job because of mental decline. In fact, the evidence points to the opposite. He was a very effective president, unquote.
Backstage at the fundraiser, quote, Biden hobbled out from around the corner. Clooney knew the president had just arrived from the G7 Leaders Summit in Apulia, Italy that morning and might be tired, but holy shit, he wasn't expecting this. The president appeared severely diminished, as if he'd aged a decade since Clooney last saw him in December 2022. He was taking tiny steps and had an aide guiding him by his arm. Others at the fundraiser were also horrified. Quote, it was like watching someone who was not alive, a Hollywood VIP recalled. It was startling, and we all looked at each other. It was so awful. In fact, it seemed President Biden did not recognize Clooney, one of the most famous people in the world, someone he had known for decades. Quote, Biden looked at him. Thank you for being here, he said. Thank you for being here. You know, George, the assisting aide told the president, gently reminding him who was in front of him. It was obvious to most everyone standing there that the president did not know who George Clooney was. Attendees at the fundraiser were flabbergasted. It was not okay, recalled the Hollywood VIP who had witnessed this moment. That thing, the moment where you recognize someone you know, especially a famous person who's doing an effing fundraiser for you, it was delayed. It was uncomfortable. George Clooney, the aide clarified for the president. Oh, yeah, Biden said. Hi, George.
The bottom line is the White House was lying, not only to the press, not only to the public, but they were lying to members of their own cabinet. They were lying to White House staffers. They were lying to Democratic members of Congress, to donors about how bad things had gotten. And